Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So today we're metaphorically putting on our safety goggles and diving headfirst into a totally mind-bending discovery in theoretical physics. We are taking the absolute ultimate science fiction dream. Yep, we're talking about time travel and pulling it right out of the movies straight into the realm of real, hardcore, nuts and bolts mathematics.
Now, it's a massive question, right? Is time travel actually mathematically possible? You know, we've all seen the sci-fi flicks where a modified sports car or some swirling blue vortex sends a guy back to the past. But what do the actual rigorous laws of physics have to say about the whole shebang? Well, crank up your generators because according to some brand new theoretical research, the math loudly and proudly says yes.
So just recently, physicist Adam J. Rivers published this absolutely incredible paper. And literally right at the top, he drops this jaw-dropping summary. He says, I have discovered, as of September 11th, 2025, a mathematically sound way that gravity and spacetime could be shaped such that time loops back on itself. I mean, wow. He is essentially giving us an engineering blueprint for a universe where just walking forward could somehow walk you right into your own past.
Section 1, the time machine recipe. Let's get right into it.
So first things first, what exactly is a spacetime metric? Well, in physics, it's basically our ultimate mathematical blueprint. Think of it kind of like the grid lines on a piece of graph paper, describing the exact shape and geometry of the entire universe. Except, this graph paper isn't flat. It can bend, it can stretch, it can swirl. And Rivers, he just drafted a completely wild new shape for this paper.
Now, to actually bake this highly specific time-bending metric, our physical procedure basically calls for three core ingredients. First up, the foundation. We need Einstein's field equations, which are the absolute gold standard for understanding gravity. Second, we need a perfect fluid stress-energy tensor. And third, a negative cosmological constant that's tied directly to the density of matter.
It really helps to think of these ingredients mechanically, almost like parts of an engine. That perfect fluid? Well, that acts as our exotic matter fuel. It provides the bizarre energy structure you actually need to warp reality. And the negative cosmological constant? That acts as our attractive counterweight. It's essentially the stabilizing force that keeps our incredibly weird universe from just completely falling apart the second we flip the switch on the machine.
Moving right along to Section 2, checking the math.
Behold, the primary metric equation. Now, hey, do not let the terrifying calculus scare you off here. This little equation is literally the DNA of time travel in this model. Rivers ran this thing through the absolute ringer. He calculated the Christoffel symbols, the Ricci tensor, the Einstein tensor, all to prove it plays perfectly by the established rules of classical general relativity. And I absolutely love that in his summary, he basically tacks on, please check my work. I mean, that is the ultimate scientific mic drop, isn't it? He's confident, sure, but he actively wants the scientific community to double-check the arithmetic on his literal time machine.
All right, Section 3, mixing space and time. To really understand what this math is doing to reality, we have to talk about something called frame dragging. Picture a hot cup of black coffee. You take a spoon and you stir it really violently. The coffee swirls right along with the spoon, doesn't it? Well, frame dragging is exactly that, except the coffee is the actual fabric of space and time, and the spoon is a massive gravitational force violently twisting reality into a literal vortex. And the difference here is night and day. In normal space-time, like the one you and I are sitting in right now, things move in relatively straight, predictable lines, just constantly ticking forward. But in Rivers' space-time model, the math reveals what we call off-diagonal mixing. Basically, you aren't just moving through space anymore. Your physical movement through space is actively twisting your movement through time itself.
This brings us to Section 4, Closed Timelike Curves Explained.
When you stir space and time that intensely, you eventually get closed timelike curves, or CTCs. A CTC is exactly what we've been trying to cook up today. It's a path in spacetime that bends so incredibly much from that frame dragging effect that it quite literally loops back around on its own past.
So what are the actual real-world implications of this? Well, in this specific universe, the light cones, which are the absolute limits of where light and information can even travel, they get severely warped. Physical paths start to loop. If you could build a spaceship capable of navigating this mathematically sound geometry, traveling in what totally feels like a straight line could actually deposit you at a coordinate in time before you ever even hit the launch button.
But of course, there's always a catch. Section 5, the causality catch. Here is the massive hurdle we face.
While the math works out beautifully on paper, engineering this in the real world is a whole different beast. Remember that perfect fluid we talked about earlier? It requires exotic matter with incredibly complex, perhaps even negative, energy conditions. And honestly, we don't just have jars of negative energy sitting around in a lab somewhere. Plus, we crash headfirst into those classic causality paradoxes. Think about it. If you go back in time and stop the machine from being built, well, how did you use the machine to go back and stop it? Rivers totally acknowledges these massive challenges, noting that figuring out these exotic energy conditions is absolutely crucial for any future next steps.
But just look at what we've got here. Adam J. Rivers has given us a fully functioning mathematical blueprint for a time machine, effectively completing a piece of Einstein's grand puzzle that nobody had quite managed to put together before. It proves that the universe's code actually can be written to allow for time travel, which leaves us with one final, totally thrilling thought. If the math absolutely allows it and the blueprint is right there on the page, will humanity one day actually figure out how to build the thing? Keep looking up, keep asking those big questions, and never stop wondering about the wild fabric of our incredible universe.